Did you know that Monkey D. Luffy has appeared in Jojo's Bizarre Adventure? Well, stick around and we'll tell you all about it. We all know that Jojo loves making references. Some are pretty obvious, but others are less. So today we will talk about several Jojo references you may have missed. Let's get started. It's well known that most stands after Stardust Crusaders are named after bands, songs, and albums. For example, Giorno's Gold Experience is named after a Prince album. But there are a few stands that break this pattern, such as Mandem from Part 7. It's named after a brand of deodorant, of all things. Mandem brand deodorant had a popular ad campaign in the 70s featuring American actor Charles Bronson. Mandem's user, Ringo Road Again, also seems to be modeled after Bronson. Another stand not named after a music reference is Dragon's Dream from Part 6. It's named after a company founded by artist Roger Dean. Some of his most famous work is album covers for the prog rock band Yes. So in a roundabout sort of way, it's still a music reference. Speaking of Yes, their album art also provided some major plot points for JoJo's 8th part, Jojolion. Part of Jojolion's story involves mysterious rock formations known as wall eyes that can grant people stands. The design of the wall eyes look very similar to the cover of Yes's 8th album, Relayer. Another piece of Roger Dean art referenced in JoJo is the cover for the album Astra by the band Asia. This album cover depicts a robotic figure with a round top of its head that bears a passing resemblance to Gold Experience. Aside from music, other major influence on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is the world of fashion. Giorno's iconic outfit is modeled after a costume worn by the musician Prince during his Diamonds and Pearls tour. The character Rai Mamazuku from Part 8 is almost identical to Kendall Jenner, specifically Jenner in a photo shoot she did for Vogue Japan in August 2016, 2 months before Mamazuku's first appearance. A few cover pages from the manga are also references to illustrations found in various fashion magazines, such as this drawing of Caesar and Joseph being inspired by an illustration by artist Antonio Lopez. JoJo's creator is also a huge film buff, and you can find plenty of references to movies throughout the anime and manga. Some are obvious and some are more subtle. Part 3's protagonist, Jotaro Kujo, is modeled after the actor Clint Eastwood. In particular, Eastwood's character in the Dirty Harry films. As a bonus fact, Clint Eastwood has met with JoJo creator Hirohiko Araki and even recreated one of Jotaro's iconic poses. Jotaro's not the only one either. Dio's appearance in Stardust Crusaders is also inspired by the actor Rutger Hauer, specifically his character Roy Batty in the film Blade Runner. Speaking of Part 3, several arcs in Stardust Crusaders are also inspired by popular films. For example, Polnareff's quest to avenge his sister's death is very similar to the character Inigo Montoya from The Princess Bride. Both Polnareff and Montoya are hunting down a man with an unusual hand who killed a family member of theirs. The Wheel of Fortune arc from Stardust Crusaders is almost identical to the film Duel. It is about a driver who's constantly harassed by an aggressive car on the road, just like Wheel of Fortune in the anime. Another one is the Battle Against Nadul, which is similar to the movie Tremors. It's a film about underground worms that navigate through vibrations in the ground. Similar to how our heroes have to avoid the ground to not alert Nadul. The very logo for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure may even be modeled after the logo for Indiana Jones. This does make a lot of sense. The first 3 parts of the story have a lot to do with archaeology, and Joseph's outfit in Part 3 is very similar to Indiana Jones. His stand Hermit Purple is even similar to the whip Indiana Jones uses. Later on, in Stone Ocean, the Jailhouse Lock arc shares some similarities to the movie Memento. Like the character in the movie, Jolene suffers from short-term memory loss and has to write stuff down on her body to keep remembering it. During the same arc, we can see Jolene watching a movie on TV. It's never said what movie, but it's supposed to be the 2001 Johnny Depp movie, From Hell. Later, in a scene that was cut from the anime, we see Jolene watching The Sixth Sense and spoiling the famous twist ending. Of course, as a manga itself, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure takes inspiration from both Japanese manga and foreign comics. The biggest and most blatant example is the Bohemian Rhapsody arc, where we see 3 famous robot heroes flying overhead: Mazinger Z, Astro Boy, and Gigantor. The manga also included a scene that was cut from the anime, where you can see some kids trying to climb up to see Spider-Man. Judging by the web pattern on Spider-Man's suit, it's specifically the Spider-Man from the Sam Raimi movies. Like Clint Eastwood, Araki had met Sam Raimi for an interview they both did. Araki may also be a fan of Dragon Ball. He said that the stand Red Hot Chili Pepper is based on a combination of a Pachycephalosaurus and Frieza's final form in Dragon Ball Z. We also found a panel of Polnareff shouting that looks very similar to this panel of Goku going Super Saiyan. Pretty cool, right? Another reference comes from Stone Ocean during the Heavy Weather arc. If you watched it, then you know that this arc has a lot of body horror involving characters getting turned into snails. It's very similar to the famous horror manga Uzumaki, which also features snail-based body horror. We get an even more direct reference during Jojolion, where in one chapter we can see car ornaments that resemble Luffy and Chopper from One Piece. If you're wondering why their faces are so messed up, it's because of a stand that makes everyone's faces look the same. Luffy isn't the only one to get a cameo either. During Stardust Crusaders, when Dio forces Senator Wilson Phillips to drive on the sidewalk, we can see Waldo from Where's Waldo series of books as one of the victims. Have any of these references surprised you so far? If so, let us know in the comments below and subscribe for more videos like this one. Some of the stands are also based on the works of French comic artist Enki Bilal. Magician's Red, for example, is based on the character Horus from the Enki Bilal comic Carnival of Immortals. Like Magician's Red, they're depicted as a muscular man with a bird's head. Another stand that takes inspiration from Carnival of Immortals is Little Feet. It bears a strong resemblance to the character XB2 from the same comic. Little Feet isn't the only Part 5 stand to get some inspiration from comics either. Risotto stand Metallica is based on strange little creatures called Hattie Fatteners from the Moomin series of books, comics, and cartoons. Several stands are also inspired by things and phenomena from real life as well. Ebony Devil has its design based on an old bronze statuette that was found in Italy. Another example is the stand High Priestess, which is based on a mask belonging to the Igala people of Nigeria. The backstories of several characters in Steel Ball Run are also extended references. For example, Dio's counterpart in this universe is named Diego Brando, and his backstory involves his mother feeding him by having hot soup poured into her hands. This is almost identical to a scene from the 1960s manga Dororo, which also had an anime adaptation. Meanwhile, the backstory of the main antagonist, Bunny Valentine, involves him receiving a handkerchief as a child. The handkerchief was a gift from his father, who kept it hidden behind his eye while being held as a prisoner of war. If that sounds familiar at all, that's because it's almost identical to a scene from Pulp Fiction. Something you may not have noticed if you only watched the anime is the logo on Emporio's baseball uniform. In the anime, his hat and uniform have the logo for a fiction team belonging to Green Dolphin Street Prison. But if you watched the episodes way back in December 2021, then the circles on his uniform were blank. This is because in the original manga, Emporio had the logo for the real-life baseball team, the Chicago Cubs, on his uniform. So they couldn't use it because of rights issues. People sure love to make Jojo references, but Jojo also likes making references to other things. Be sure to let us know if there are any of these references that we should have included.